Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on April 27th, 2022 at approximately 1:58 p.m. PST. Well, I talked the other day when we were talking about the home. I talked about the idea of increasing your energy levels in order to accommodate further growth in your own home, in your own ability to handle your life. Now, before I get into it, if you like the video, because of the fact I returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that purpose was simply to let people know that working together, we can make this a better world for everybody, for virtually everybody. Now, do understand, people. I should have used the term, you know, every entity in existence. Okay, because it is not just relegated to humans. And we'll get into more of that side of things later. I may end up getting a couple of things done today. I've got a whole list sorted around, but made a note for myself. And as you can probably tell, I am very adamant that using a task list where you list things off. Well, hopefully that didn't shut down. Is it still recording? Yep, good. Put those in the wrong place. The reality is that when I talk about everybody working together, it does not literally mean every single individual. Okay, but it does mean that we can make this world better. The human race, the whole societal situation has taken one heck of a nosedive, but it's not too late to change it. But it starts with the individual. Now, one of the things that we have to remember is that everybody is born with a certain amount of energy. Okay, to operate all of their different systems. Now, you get to pick and choose as you're born which abilities, which senses you've got. Okay, now clearly, if you ask me, I chose to really restrict myself on the technological side. I really don't get it very well, or more to the point, I haven't. Okay, but when you're having trouble making headway, you have to pick and choose which way you're doing things. Now that includes both on the energy level, as in your home, or on the financial level, which is it's in the house. Okay, today we're talking about energy level in your home. Okay. Now, the home runs on a three-chamber heart: the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen. Okay, and I've mentioned this before. Where we're working right here, as far as this whole issue of the video concept. Okay, this is the brain of the home and the brain of the house. Okay, but understand, essentially, the cerebral cortex of the whole thing is the individual, is you. Now, I absolutely encourage you, if you don't know how to do things, if you don't know how to get something done that you feel is required that you're lacking in, talk to somebody that has personally done it successfully. Now, you've got a couple of ways of increasing the energy that you've got to work with. Okay. Now, I've mentioned this issue before. Take your hands and put them towards each other, much like you were praying. Put them within a quarter inch to a half an inch of each other, and you'll feel a sense of energy between the two hands. Now, understanding that energy runs both directions at the same time, by focusing on that and feeling the energy increase, focus on one word: heal. This will enable your body to heal faster, your mind to take in more information, and it basically gets things moving right. Now, where I've been making a mistake, I've been making a very serious mistake where it comes to my energy levels. If you, like myself, are stuck in front of a computer a lot of the day, you've got to get up and get mobile. Okay, even if it's only for 5-10 minutes on the hour. Okay, so you get up, go and do something. Like today, for instance, once I get this video done, I will go down back. I will put my laundry away. It's in the middle of running right now, so that works. Okay. Then I'll come back, do some more work on the computer, and go and get dishes put away. Go get them washed and put away. It's things like this to just break the day up. Okay. That's the first and foremost. The second thing is, you've got one of two options where it comes to your energy levels. You can cut back on what you're doing. And I will tell you, that's the biggest problem I run into is I'll sit there, I'll simply sit there at the computer, and this makes me more and more tired because I'm just sitting there typing or just sitting there writing. Okay, I've got a printer right here that I've got to get running. Okay, but when the more active you get, the more you challenge your mind. Okay, now if you take a look at a few things, there's some real mild ways to improve your mind. You can do what a lot of people consider, seniors tasks, where you take a puzzle and put it together. But here's what a puzzle does. It enables you to spot little similarities and little connections in tiny pieces. This makes your mind work. Okay, you can use search a word, which again is a very mild form. If you desire to push it a little harder, there are puzzles out there called logic puzzles. Okay, very important little puzzles because they make your mind work faster. And for those of you that are worried about things like Alzheimer's or dementia, that sort of thing, doesn't matter if you're older or if you're younger, learn another language. Okay. Now that language can be a spoken language, it can be sign language, it can be a computer programming language, it doesn't matter. The point being, put your mind to work. Okay, if you're spending all of your time staring at the idiot box, watching, that's what they called it when I was growing up when it first came out. Apparently in 1956, which is a little earlier than I am, but not than some of you. Apparently, when it first came into production, they called it the idiot box. And I'll tell you, with the number of people that I find are sitting staring at other people playing games. Playing video games itself does have some benefits, there's no doubt. But sitting staring at somebody else playing a video game, I fail to see, personally, any benefit to it. Periodically, certainly, but I've talked to people who will spend hours watching other people play. Now, that's kind of like when I was growing up. There was an old saying back then. Work fascinates me. I can watch it for hours. Okay. Now, for me, I do not find a whole lot of advantage to video games themselves. But I have been known to get sidetracked into watching videos, or watching movies. Okay, this is not a productive method of doing things. Okay, but this does not mean that computers are a bad thing. Let's face it, if it weren't for computers, I wouldn't be talking to you now. With this in mind, if you like the video, do give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, because I got a lot of information that's got to come out, and I do encourage you, regardless of the topic that I'm talking about, absolutely, if you've got a topic that you would like for me to address. Like, for instance, somebody asked me a little bit ago to address the hybridization program. Okay, well, I did a couple of weekends on live stream on the hybridization program. Okay, and that's alien hybridization. Okay, as in the combining of humans and other races. But you can listen to that on one of my live streams. Okay. Live streams, one of the things that I'm finding works well for me. When I first started doing these videos, it was a case of, what am I going to do? And I went around in circles a lot. When we're looking at increasing energy, okay, it starts up here, brings it down into the heart. You've got to get that drive to desire to have more energy to work with. the two areas, and it's very simple two areas, your mind and your body. Both of them require movement in order to build energy, in order to build stamina. Okay, now with the mind, it's a case of finding subjects or projects that you can work on. Okay, which is why on here right now, I just finished that one, so I've already got a dozen things on my list that I will be going through tonight. Okay, they will be completed before I get finished my day today. Well, my night. Okay, but that's the mental side of it. Now, physically, there's a few things you can do. The more you move, and I don't mean you have to go down to the gym and do weightlifting. I never find time for it, and I don't have the discipline for it. Okay, but it means get physically mobile. If you're stuck in the office all day, working on numbers, working on finance, whatever, or as I am, working on writing, and then take a break every hour. Okay, take a 5 or 10 minute break myself. I usually end up with only a 2 or 3 minute break on the hour because I'll get up, go grab another drink, and no, I'm not talking alcohol, although I used to do that a lot. Okay, but by getting physically active, okay, like one thing I've got to get back to, I don't get out of the house a whole lot. Well, lately it's been funny. I've been going down to one restaurant in particular. And that one restaurant in particular, I take this book with me. This is the book I do a lot of the writing. Now, today, one of the things on my list is to take a whole pile of this, and here gives you an idea. In the last 3 days down at the restaurant when I've gone down there, I'll take this with me to write, to physically write. Okay. And the last 3 days, I've done all this in writing. It's now got to be moved on to soft copy. Okay. So that is one of the tasks that I've got to do today. Now, I don't know how much of that will get done. I do know I've got a chunk of it that's got to be done, or it never will. And here's the thing. You can continue procrastinating. You can continue putting things off. Every single entity in existence is at the same point right now. We are all right here, right now. And even if you postpone stuff, but when you actually start working on it, you're still right here, right now. I do have to move that. I've got a sign over here. That I'm going to have to add. I've got a sign over here, and you can't see it right now. I got to figure out where I'm putting it. But 4 most powerful words where it comes to self-esteem, self-worth, self-motivation, and self-improvement. Okay. 4 words. I am worth it. Those 4 words I have in a hand-burned sign down on the floor right now. I've got to find a place to mount it. Okay. I've got it there. I've got one that is laminated on my fridge, and one that is literally just a sheet of paper on my front door that say the same thing. Now, if you haven't done that already, get them written down. Okay, because you're the only one in existence that can and or will make your life successful for you. And what I'm just making a note here because not tomorrow. What I strive to do is on every odd day deal with the improvement and the stabilization of your home, of the feeling in your house. Okay. So from my standpoint, it really boils down to tomorrow. The next one I do, I've just made a note for myself. Okay. And I will be discussing a neat little concept, success. Because you're the only one in existence that can be successful for you. But you have to figure out what you feel is success. And I'm going to go over that in a couple of days. Okay. One of the things I did decide was, in order for me to bring my energy levels up to where I desire them to be, the trick is to make absolutely certain that I get a functional plan in place. There's an old concept that says people don't plan to fail. They fail to plan. You may well be in exactly the same boat. Okay, and this is why I keep this list here, so that I can add to it as I go. I encourage you to do the same thing, but with this list that I work with. Okay, with this little list, you can see I do not expect you to read it. Okay, but you keep the tasks to 15-minute to half-hour tasks in order to be able to complete them and show yourself you are making headway, that you are getting things done. Now, I've actually got a dozen things still on my list, and I recommend you start with 3. Okay, because once you keep them to 15 minutes to half an hour in length. Okay, once you get one checked off, once you get it completed, check it off and start another. Okay, and write down a third, and then go on to the next one that's in the list already. Now, this method works not only for yourself, but if you're one of these people that is working for somebody else, where they're constantly coming to you and going, I need this done right away. And then before you get it finished, I need this done right away. The trick is, and this is why I say it applies at work, your career, your home, it doesn't matter. It's universal. Okay. This includes if you have to be running a big business or running a starship. They all operate the same way. Okay. And I will tell you, humans on average, when you take a look at them around the world, you may have different pigmentation. You may have a different lineage, a different heritage. As a matter of fact, I can pretty much guarantee you do. Because every human, like every snowflake, is unique. Okay, even identical twins are unique. Okay, even test tube babies are unique. It doesn't matter. The tools I offer are the same ones I personally use, and everybody I've talked to from every walk of life has said, to one degree or another, these tools have worked very well. Okay, and because of that, this is why I come out and say, give this a shot. If you don't know how to do something, talk to somebody that's done it effectively. Okay, now, understand where it came to my life. I isolated myself from a lot of people. Okay, and I literally used to look at the world and go, no, they don't want anything to do with me. It turns out I didn't understand people at all. I could understand. I could gauge what they were up to, why they were doing it, and what have you. But it wasn't that they didn't accept me. It was quite literally the fact, and you may be running into this, it was literally the fact that I didn't understand me. And I mean, my father did apologize for leaving me confused, because a lot of that confusion came from the fact that my father kept telling me I was off my nut. Okay, now I did spend 20 years with one single psychiatrist trying to figure out how my brain worked. And then my dad on his deathbed turns around and tells me everything that I uncovered, all of it, was real. I will tell you this. If you've got a child or if you've got a friend, okay, and they are striving to do something, do not tell them they will not accomplish it. Okay, certainly guide them away from it. I mean, let's face it. I watched a video of a guy. I mean, there is something called the Darwin Awards, and if you really want to get a giggle out of some of the stupid things people do, the DarwinAwards.com is priceless. I watched this one guy, okay, decide he wanted to check and see if he was trying to siphon gas, which, by the way, unless you own the vehicle you're siphoning it out of, is called theft. Well, this genius decided that he was going to check and see if an active gas tank had gas in the tank. So what does he do? He opens the gas cap, then leans down in front of it, and uses a lighter to check and see if there's gasoline in the tank. He didn't survive, at least not from what I gather. Now, needless to say, if you know anything about gasoline, it gives off rather highly combustible fumes. So you can see why this guy didn't survive it. Okay, talk to somebody that has successfully accomplished something. Okay, where it comes to figuring out your level of success, I can give you all the tools in the world. Okay, and the first one is that issue of I am worth it. If you've got a child, a friend, a relative, doesn't matter what, that is having trouble with accomplishing something, if they're making the effort and they're on the right track, do not make the mistake or the miscalculation of telling them they will not succeed. Okay, if you tell a child long enough, or if an adult tells an employee long enough, you don't have the capacity to do this, what will end up happening is that person will come to believe it. Okay, and I am living proof that there are things that people have said you cannot do, and I'm sure you've had things that you've been told that you cannot do. Again, I'm not talking about you're not permitted to. I mean, you're not physically capable of. Okay, now, there are things I recommend you don't try. Okay, I know of one gentleman in particular, okay, that jumped out of an aircraft, and with both his parachutes collapsing, doing what I understand they call candling, he landed safely upright on the ground. That sounds absolutely bizarre. Okay, and I don't know if you can find the video about it. Okay, but most people, if your parachute collapses, if it candles, you're going to hit the ground hard, and that's the end of the day. Whether it's ground or water, it won't matter. Okay, so do not tell people it's impossible. Okay, I did, and this is one of the things I've got to get a few extra videos done on. Okay, I've got a subset of videos, and I'll be completing them over the next little while here regarding language. Okay, because there are certain words. I've been told is there are 12 words that are self-debilitating in any language. Okay, and what I'm doing, I've identified 9 of them. Okay, and I have to think about them on occasion. But I'm doing a video on each word, and the subtitle for it is language. But a couple that I know have got to be in the list, and I really don't know if I've already done them. Can't, impossible, try, okay, never, always. Okay, these are just a few of them. Okay, the second you utter them, okay, you're creating a complication for yourself. And you may notice on occasion, I'll be talking and I'll all of a sudden stop. It's like, well, I can't do that. Actually, and I'll stop myself and go, actually, I could do that, but I'm just not interested in the fallout. Okay, now where do you start? Well, the feng shui in your office, in the brain of both your house and your home, is critical. The feng shui, the guiding of the energy in your life it connects here first. You've got to have that emotional imperative in your heart to really find yourself working towards it. In the home, you've got 3 areas. It's a 3-chamber home: living room, dining room, and kitchen. Okay, that will give you the creative drive. You get those running smoothly, and you've got access to your creative drive. The office, wherever you work on your finances. That's the brain. And of course, once you have the brain, you now have 4, which is from a base 12 numerological standpoint, that's the number of foundation. If you think of it this way, virtually every house people live in has 4 walls. Now, I've seen A-frame homes where they've got 2 solid back ones and the other 2 are leaned over, but it's still 4. Okay, you've still got your 4 walls. And this is why I say it is so important to get straight in your own head what you're aiming for, what you see as success. In a couple of days, I'm going to cover that again anyway. Okay, but it's time to get started on it. It's time to really take a look in the mirror and go, am I content? In all fairness, it's way past time in my eyes. Okay, but it is really important that you get it straight, that you have the capacity, regardless of what your past looks like, regardless of what you've been through. You have the capacity to change your life for the better. Okay, you can alter the path you're on. You can't change what you've been through. Okay, you may have spent time tied up in what you now see as a religion that has lost all its spark for you. Maybe you've given up on the political field. Maybe you've had so many problems with social assistance that you've gone, I'm not dealing with it anymore. These are not the end of the road. These are the start of a new leg. Everything you've gone through. I was talking to one young lass that had grown up on the street. And when I met her, she was 40 years old. And she was just, all my life went bad, and I ended up living on the street, and she was absolutely depressed. It took us about a year working with her quite consistently to finally get her head on straight, where she ended up being productive, okay, and being self-supporting. Well, she still required assistance, but understand she had a couple of hiccups. And like I said, this is an issue of working together. We can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay, and it just dawned on me here. I will be, the next time I deal with the home, which will be in a couple of days. Okay, I'm also going to be dealing with the next one after that. I will be dealing with the issue of religious belief or spiritual belief, and explain to you from my perspective how that can either benefit you or can create problems. Okay, I'll be sorting this out myself, and I wonder if I did. Where it comes to the house, no, I still got to deal with that. I'll be dealing with the house tomorrow. Okay, now with that in mind, the house is based it starts in the brain of your house. Okay, in the office where you work on money. It's the material world that we're going to look at. Okay, now I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.